I'm in my kitchen today, and I wanted to show you, because loads of people have been asking what I eat, whether I cook, that kind of thing. I want to show you one of my favourite recipes. Now, I cook from fresh pretty much for every meal that I'm at home. I don't eat processed foods really, unless I very much have to, and I really enjoy cooking, so that's fine for me. I find it quite easy to prepare everything from fresh. This aubergine dish is, I think, might have originally been a Delia Smith from Italy recipe, or a Jamie Oliver Italy recipe, something like that, but it's like a Sicilian aubergine stew, but over the years I've cooked it so much I've almost made it into my own recipe, so I'll try and find out what it came from originally. But it's really good because it's like a chunky tomato sauce, but it's got big chunks of aubergine in, so if you want a substitute for pasta, or you want to cut down on your portion of pasta and have something substantial with it, then this one's perfect. You can also have it with, you know, chicken breast, or like a grilled lamb cutlet or something like that, or just a simple piece of fish. It's really nice with loads and loads of things, and it's really easy to do. So I'm going to run you through how I do my aubergine recipe. I'm not sure what I should call it really, aubergine siciliana or something. So first of all, I'm just going to chop my aubergine, and you need a good sharp knife, and I'm just slicing it into 1 centimetre thick, or 1.5 centimetre thick slices, and then into little cubes. And you don't have to be totally anal about this. They don't have to be exactly the same size. You just need to get them all roughly the same size so that they cook in the same amount of time. And then straight into the pan. I've got the aubergine cubes in the pan, as you can see, and I'm browning them off really quickly on a high heat. I've used a little bit of rapeseed oil because it's kind of better really on high heats. And I'm just keeping the cubes moving so they take on a bit of colour. But I don't want to use too much oil, because if you use loads of oil, the aubergine's quite porous and it just soaks up all of the oil. And then you've got kind of a really, even though olive oil is really good for you, you don't want to be using gallons of it in this. So just keep moving that aubergine around. And it does feel a bit weird because it's quite dry in the pan, all the oil's gone, it's gone into the aubergines. But don't worry, because we are going to add a little bit more oil and we have to fry off other bits and pieces. So, keep moving that around. And then once they've taken on a nice bit of colour, we'll turn it down. So I've made a little pool of extra virgin olive oil, and the crushed garlic has gone into that. I'm going to return it to the heat in a minute, but there's a couple of things I want to add. Dried oregano. And then I have a huge tub of oregano, dried oregano. I don't really use any other dried Mediterranean herbs because I prefer to get them fresh. But oregano is a really good one to have in the cupboard. I think it's one of the ones that's actually almost better to use dry, to be honest. It's got a really strong flavour. You don't need very much of it. And just keep it really airtight, and you'll always have it ready to do your aubergine thing with. And then these are really hot little dried chillies. I'm just going to take 2 of them. I'm always getting chilli in my eyes, so I don't really care if that happens to me now, so I just crush them with my fingers, but you might want to wear gloves or crush them differently. And stir all that into the aubergines. Put that back onto the heat, but a lower heat, so that's just sizzling away. So oregano in, dried chilli in, a pinch of salt, a little bit of black pepper. And you're ready to put the tomatoes in. That's my ready-made sauce, but it's homemade, but I made it yesterday, which is just 2 tins of tomatoes reduced down with about 4 cloves of garlic, a couple of little dried red chillies, and some tomato puree, and just keep adding water and reducing till it goes really nice and thick like that. But because this is kind of the easier way to do it, and this is supposed to be quick, I'm just using a tin of chopped tomatoes. So the tomatoes are going in. And then what I like to do, over here, these are my dirty dishes, is I like to fill up the tin about half with water just to get the juice of the tomatoes off from the sides. And then I add that in as well. And that will just help cook off the aubergine as well. So you want it to cook quite fast. I mean, you could take ages over this dish and it would be absolutely gorgeous. But sometimes the aubergine can go a bit too soft, so you still want a little bit of bite because it's not nice when it just goes really soggy. And then just a little bit of tomato puree. You don't have to use tomato puree if you don't want to. It's pretty nice without it, but it just adds a little bit of sweetness. Stir that in. So I'm going to let that cook for about 10-15 minutes. In the meantime, I've got my pasta water boiling. I am going to have pasta because I haven't really eaten a lot today. It's been a really busy day, so I feel like I need some. But the brilliant thing about this dish is that this in itself, you'll see, is quite chunky and bulky, so you feel like you don't need as much to go with it. This is penne, and I'm going to do about 50 grams because, as I said, the aubergine thing chunks it out. I mean, really, I could do it without any pasta at all, because I've got carbs in there. I'm going to have protein in my mozzarella, buffalo mozzarella that I'm using. So, I don't know, I've got fats in there as well, good fats. So, don't really need the pasta, but I'm starving, so that's what I'm going to have. It might look a little bit OCD to be weighing this, but I can't guess it by sight, and I think when people do guess by sight, that's when they end up having 150 grams of pasta rather than 75 or something like that, and then they wonder, let's rescue this water, and they wonder, you know, where the extra calories are coming from. So it just takes a couple of seconds to weigh something. I mean, I wouldn't do it with vegetables or things like that. I do it with pasta and rice just because it makes it easier and it takes the guesswork out of it. So I am going to do a little bit extra so I can eat it for lunch tomorrow. So that goes in, and this penne takes 12 minutes to cook. So that's set. And I do find that if I do it for 12 minutes, it's absolutely perfect, just a little bit of bite. This is my oven glove, by the way. They're brilliant. It's like an oven glove, but a glove. So you could literally pick up the pan by the handle, red hot, and you wouldn't feel it for, you know, a few seconds. You couldn't hold it forever. They're really good. I've got my basil, fresh basil, and I'm going to tear that over around about now and save some for the end when I just want to tear a few leaves over. Unfortunately, it's gone a little bit wilted because I've had it for a couple of days, so I'll chuck away the worst of it there. Or you could make pesto out of it, something like that. So 10 minutes in, this is doing really, really nicely. You can see that all the watery part of the tomato is gradually cooking down, making this really nice, rich sauce. And so healthy. And I'm going to serve this with a rocket kind of salad, just some rocket leaves, which I really like. Nice and crunchy and fresh tasting. And also I'm going to tear up half a ball of buffalo mozzarella. Now I never ever use the standard mozzarella because I think it's chewy and horrible and just gross. The buffalo mozzarella is really milky inside. Actually, the Sainsbury's one isn't the best one. The Tesco's finest buffalo mozzarella is the most amazing one, outside of going to some kind of specialist deli. But yeah, half this, and then I'm going to tear it over the top. So just some rocket on the plate, like that. And I'm going to drizzle it with some olive oil and a bit of balsamic vinegar. And you really need a few drops because aubergine sauce is going to provide a nice kind of tasty bit of wetness. I'm just popping the vinegar into the lid with one hand for the sole reason that I don't have two hands to drizzle it with. So vinegar on. You can this monkey trying to get in on the action. Hmm? Ooh. We could always eat you. Cat stew. Cat stew. You're too fat to have any more food. Come on, down you get. Watch out, my little four-legged furry friend. Pasta's done. Stirring that sauce in with the penne just to bind it all together, mix it in. I've only put half of that sauce in because it actually makes 2 portions. So you could either make 2 portions of pasta, mix it all up, keep half for another meal, or you can do something else with the bit that's left. Have it with fish or lamb or chicken. And then I'm just going to rip some of the basil over the top. There's the basil in. Give it a stir and it's ready to go. I'm not going to do some weird Nigella Lawson-esque orgasmic tasting of this, so I hope you're not disappointed, but just tearing the mozzarella into chunks over the top and it all melts in. I know you want to see me eating it seductively with a fork, but it ain't gonna happen. So that's it, that's my finished dish. That is aubergine, I don't know, Siciliana. And it's a really good dish for just, you know, if you want to lower your carb intake and just have something that feels very chunky and filling, but that's low in carbs, or low in the types of carbs you don't want to overload on, like rice and pasta and things like that. You know, you're still having them, or you could skip them all together if you wanted to, but it just means that you don't feel like you need so much of them. So it's my little trick for when I want a really nice, tasty pasta dish, but I don't want to eat loads of pasta. Yeah, so I'll see you next time.